am Brandon. I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
Brian, I like Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Dan. I despise Hallmark Christmas movies, and this is the Deck the Hallmark Podcast.
Deck the Hallmark. It's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Deck the Hallmark. How about that? Confessions of a Christmas letter is what we're talking about today.
right.
Can you believe that? Can
Sunday
you believe
Night
that?
Jam.
Sunday Night Jam. That's exactly right. Hopefully you watched it. If you didn't, I'll read a synopsis in just a little bit. Don't you worry. Your pretty little face.
Probably going to want to watch
Pretty little face. Don't you even worry about it. The Office reboot is another name for this movie. You can say it. It's a little Office.
The Office reboot is a name for this movie.
There was rumors about them rebooting The Office and doing like a new thing, and they said, no, we got it. And then
They took it from here.
Yeah.
One 83-minute Christmas movie.
Yeah, with Angela
featuring
and then a minute of Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
Great.
No chili.
No chili drop. I kind of appreciate that, actually.
Yeah. Respect.
Before we do that, really quickly, everybody, a quick reminder: Christmas movie magic is here, and what better time to do it than right now? We're a week out from Thanksgiving, so order now, get it in time for the movies next week because there's 1,000 of them, in a great way to kind of, I don't know, enjoy that a little bit more. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming.
Sometimes
It can, but it doesn't have to. It can feel fun and competitive and cutthroat.
That's right.
That's what Christmas movie magic is for, and it's sweeping the nation. That's what I'm being told. And so get it while you still can. Get it while you still can.
That is a threat.
That is a threat. There is a limited number printed, so
It's true.
sell us out.
When they're gone, they're gone.
Sell us out.
We want to be sellouts.
We want to be sellouts in this case. This is the one. I'm not a poser. I'm a sellout, but only with your help.
Big difference.
DeckTheHallmark.com/game. And speaking of sell out, one thing we won't sell out of is Philo because it's unlimited, just like their DVR.
That's right.
Philo.tv/DTH. You can save all of the Hallmark Thanksgiving week movies to your DVR, and that won't even scratch the surface of what's available on the platform, including our show. You can watch us. If you've ever wondered what we look like, a lot of people do.
It's a mystery.
People come up to us at events like Christmas Con and they're like, you're taller in person, or who
That's
are
true.
you, or what happened to Panda? And so like stuff
I don't
like
know if any of those questions would be answered by watching us, but I think you should still watch it.
I do. Well, I think you
think
would
you piece
know-
it together.
You would piece it together a little bit. You'd piece it together a little bit. Philo.tv/DTH. You can do that today. Y'all, I'm real excited about this weekend because there's a lot of fun things you can do in Greenville, South Carolina. And one of the fun things that I've started to enjoy is the Children's Theater in downtown Greenville. One,
yeah.
it's a beautiful facility.
Sure is.
But two, my kids have really enjoyed it. I took them to see a play over the summer. They really liked it. And this week I'm taking them to see the play version of The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever, which I'm excited about. It's
very cool.
And it's a beautiful theater. And that's only one of many things that you can do in
almost
downtown
a
Greenville.
I wonder how you do a play version of that book.
I'm going to see
wild.
it. I'm going to see
a
it.
play within a play.
It's a
at
play.
that point.
It's meta.
It's meta.
It's meta.
Hey,
You're the play.
you're
sit,
the play, and you're part of it.
got it.
It's a part of
You're
it.
the guest of the play and the play
So
within
come
the
to
play.
Greenville, South Carolina. Is all I'm
Jim, the
saying.
accordion player, will be there.
What were you going to say, Dan? You were going to say something?
I was going to say that there was a write-up recently where the hotel, the Westin, got a big write-up for the Home Alone tour they're bringing back this
They're
year.
bringing it back.
I think so. I think so.
Well,
Oh,
we
boy.
did it. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. It's on our socials from like last December, but also it's on YouTube. It is a ton of fun. The Home Alone tour that we did last year. And I hope that they're bringing it back because it was a blast.
Yeah.
And I know
That was a fun time.
the people that got to experience it really enjoyed it. So, and we're one of the lucky ones.
We sure are.
We're one of the lucky ones. In the words of Ben Folds 5.
And is it Amy Grant who wrote a song called Lucky One? I believe so.
Do you think they wrote
Shout
it together?
out.
You think Ben Folds and Amy Grant
I think
got together?
my
and
guess
wrote
would
it
be
out?
Amy Grant's song came out first, but
Interesting.
you know.
Look
Eminem
that up
has
while I'm
Got
doing
it.
a synopsis.
Yeah,
How about that?
great.
What came out first? Lucky by Ben Folds, Lucky by
Britney
Britney Spears, or Lucky by Amy Grant? A good question.
94 for Lucky One, Amy Grant.
Okay,
So
hold on.
that's-
That teaser, we'll
yeah.
hold the rest.
Hold on, everybody.
She is
Confessions of
lucky.
a Christmas Letter originally premiered on the Hallmark channel on November 17th, 2024. To win a little something like this. The movie kicks off with Angela and Brian from The Office trying to convince us that they can play other characters. We're at the Holly Hills Post Office, where every year Brian and the other postal workers judge the best Christmas letter from the town. The winner goes on the Wall of Fame. It is Seti's dream to win, but the same person has won 18 years in a row. Her name is Sue. Cut to a year later, a year later, and Seti sits down to write her annual letter. To her surprise, it doesn't just write itself. And she thinks, if only I had this famous author of this book that I really like to come and write my Christmas letter, then I would finally win. This author, Juan, wrote her current favorite book, so she decides, you know what, I'm going to shoot my shot and email Juan's people, offering to pay him to come to her town and write the letter for her. Juan, who was in a bit of a funk.
You sure it's not Juwan?
No, it's
are we
not.
Sure, are
It's
we
not.
certain?
It's not Juan. You made me second guess myself, though, and that was so mean. You know what's happened in my life. You know, you are here. You know how words affect me. Juan, who is in a bit of a funk, agrees to take the gig. When he arrives, he gets into a ride share with Seti's daughter, Lily. He doesn't know that at the time, though. When Seti's rival...
Lily.
Dr. Roger.
When Seti's rival Sue shows up, they lie and tell that Lily and Juan are engaged. Juan agrees to stay.
It's a boxing movie. Duck it, Roger.
Well done.
Duck it, Roger. That's right.
There was a lot of that.
Tyson could have used
Tyson
it.
could
Could have
used
used
it.
the Duck it, Roger.
He didn't have to, though. Nothing was going on. Juan agrees to stay, though, completely confused as to what's going on, but he meets Sue and realizes that he can't stand her, so he is going to stay and write the letter. Soon enough, sparks begin to fly between Lily and Juan, for real this time, but Juan is still struggling with writer's block, even when it comes to the Christmas card. When is the Christmas card airing?
Dude, I think 6 a.m. one of these days.
6 a.m. one of
Usually
these
it's a
days.
6 a.m.
Always 6
Fingers
a.m.
crossed. If somebody could look up if it's airing anytime soon, that'd be really great. But Juan is Meanwhile, Sue has been running things in town for too long. She even has rules about how people can or cannot decorate for Christmas. So to surprise Seti, Lily and Juan and the rest of the family stay up all night decorating Sue's yard with Christmas decorations and lawn ornaments that Seti has in her garage from past years where she's tried to decorate. They love the result. It's big fun. But the night isn't over. Lily and Juan run lines for a play that she's auditioning for, a play that involves a kiss. They share a kiss, but it's purely for the love of the art.
Yeah, love of the art, for sure.
It is not
nothing else.
anything else, everybody. Sue thinks that she figured out who Juan really is and confronts him at a Christmas party. She thinks that he's in the mafia, but she's wrong about that. He's not in the mafia at all.
In the mafia.
Not the mafia, but the mafia.
However, it is revealed at this party that Sue doesn't actually write her own Christmas letter at all. It's her husband that's writing it.
Oh, twist.
What a twist. After the excitement of the party, Lily and Juan share some big kisses for real this time. Not even for the love of the game. Juan gives Seti the Christmas letter she asked for, but she decides that she wants to write the letter on her own because she realizes that she's fallen back in love with the holiday season and spending it with her family. So the next day, Seti reads the letter that she wrote out loud. It is perfect. It's honest. It's heartfelt. And it even admits that she hired a ghostwriter to write this originally. She also explains how she fell back in love with Christmas and how her family's Christmas traditions are perfect just the way that they are, as crazy as her family is. The letter ends up winning the Christmas contest. She's on the Wall of Fame, and we all cheer. And that, my friends, was Confessions of a Christmas Letter.
We did it.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and we will break this movie down with 4 segments here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Hey, what do we find out about the word lucky?
Lucky one, Amy Grant, 94. Lucky, Britney Spears, 2000. The luckiest, Ben Folds, 2001.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Good to
let's
know.
talk about
Three bangers.
let's talk about
We're flying today, Brian.
I
Why do you
know.
think that is?
I don't know. Who can say, really?
can
We're having,
say?
I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah,
actually.
of course you are.
Can't wait to get to it.
Confessions
Yeah, come
of
on.
a Christmas Letter, Hallmark Channel, the Sunday night movie, a little Office in there. People were excited about that. Lots of intrigue about what this movie was going to be like. Let's break it down. Let's start with a hot take. Let's share exactly how we felt about this movie. We're not going to hold back. Brian, what do you think about the Confessions of a Christmas Letter?
Yeah, I feel comfortable speaking for all of us here in saying I love this movie. We all love this movie.
You love this movie. You love this movie. We're all loving this movie.
This wasn't like the big fear was this is going to be gimmicky. Like this is just
Yeah.
riding the coattails of The Office thing. Not at all. Like it wasn't that at all. Like I didn't get any of those vibes. It was its own thing, and it was like genuine and had the depth and like they put the time and effort into it. Really, really, really funny, and that's what gets me is the funny. Lillian Doucette Rocket, sorry, was so good in this. Like she was so fun, and Alec Santos as Juan, so good. Everybody was so good. It's the Holly thing here, where the ensemble just kills when the people who are not the main characters do little things that just elevate the movie, and so that was a blast.
If you're going to compare it, though, this is definitely like a C team.
It's not, it's not to the level of Holly,
Yeah,
but I would
yeah.
love for them to be on the same block and all get together and have a time. Mocking the Christmas letters is beautiful. Like that's so nice. Like those things get out of control. They're ridiculous. So it was really a fun thing to base the movie around. So some Weight Watts, a little bit. Some things are a little out there, but this is what I want in a movie, a Christmas time movie. I had a blast with this movie. I didn't want it to end.
Didn't want it to end.
Yeah,
this
I want
guy.
more.
Let's go forever. I will say, to the point of not wanting it to end, I do feel like this movie could have been longer, and I would have been okay with it. I do feel like we were dropped into this movie,
Sure.
and they do an interesting thing that Hallmark is not known for, and it's like, hey, you'll figure it out.
Figure
as
it
you
out.
go.
That's right.
Figure it out as
Yeah.
you go. And at first, I didn't like that. Well, okay. A few things.
You looked at me 3 minutes in and said, "Is this the worst movie
Is this the
we've
worst
ever
movie
seen?"
of the year?
Yes.
By the end of it, I loved it.
Yeah.
I had an absolute blast with this movie. It won me over. And it's in my opinion, so far, I think we're about halfway through at this point, the surprise of the season. A movie that I just didn't anticipate moving me one way or the other. It had a full range of emotion for me of this movie is ridiculous. I don't like it too. I love it. And I think a lot of it has to do with this, to your point, Brian. The ensemble ends up working really well. And I didn't expect it to work. And, I said at the beginning of the synopsis that Angela and Brian from The Office are trying to convince us that they can play other characters. And I got to be honest, and I'm going to give, as the kids say, flowers to Miss Angela.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you. At first, I was like, this is Angela from The Office. By the end of the movie, I was like, this is a fully
Seti
fleshed out
Rose.
character. This is Seti Rose. And so I want to give credit there because I haven't seen her in anything else other than Angela from The Office. I know her from Angela from The Office, and I know her from Angela from Office Girls, talking
podcast,
about
yeah.
the show The Office. And so I know her from one thing, and I found out that she was bringing in Brian to do a cameo, and I was like, we're just going to do the Office thing here. And to my surprise, really ended up liking her. And I didn't see it coming, but as she's reading this letter at the end of this movie, I'm like, dadgummit, this movie is moving me, and I didn't expect it.
That's why they call it a movie.
So I was really impressed by her performance overall, especially by the end of the movie.
Shut up.
And
You got to send the next few plays out. I can't.
you were 100% right. The romantic relationship in this movie between Juan and Lily, the sparks happen fast, and I think that was a good thing because they kiss early on, but it's a play kiss. And all of that worked really well. I can't believe how well this movie worked for me. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Will watch again.
Same.
Confessions of a Christmas Letter. Surprise of the season so far. Dano?
I don't know what to do with this movie. I full disclosure, I don't know what to do with this movie. There was a movie years ago that we watched called Holiday Date. It was one of these weird Christmas Hanukkah mashups, and it had our boy Matt Cohen in it and Britt Bristow in it. And by the end of the movie, we all were laughing, but it was like they decided they knew they didn't have a good movie, so they made a screwball comedy, and some of the bits landed. This movie, like, is about writing Christmas newsletters, and for the amount of time that they take that portion of the movie seriously, it's really terrible. Like the font is like I hated the font of the credits, and I didn't buy any of that. And then there's some screwball stuff early in this movie that kind of takes over this movie. So like early on, I felt like they were trying to make us care pretty seriously. And then there's these screwball antics, like the grandma serving the burnt cinnamon roll, like just serving
So funny.
burnt, like
Not
it was
burnt, on
like
fire,
on
cinnamon
fire.
roll.
like
Family recipe.
like there's so much of this stuff in this movie that is so just wackadoo crazy that it dares you to try to take this movie seriously. If you are trying to take this movie seriously, you're in for a really tough time. The comedy stuff occasionally does work in the movie. It's not always hitting.
I think it worked more often than it
I
did,
will say
though.
this:
100%.
the areas that I was scared the most about with this movie is number one, Angela Kinsey. I basically said in the preview episode she's not an actor, and I didn't say that out loud, but I basically inferred it. I was wrong. Angela Kinsey does what's needed to be done in this movie, so good for her. Alec DeSantis, whom we saw in one of the Unwrapping movies, and we said he was a serial killer. All of a sudden, you let him speak in his native tongue and be someone who is Hispanic, and he's like more than passable, like does a solid job. Lillian Douce-Richey's never been better, but the movie is shoddy. Like that's the thing that's tough is it is a shoddy
Like a good shoddy.
production. Like it's just disheveled and unkempt and barely kept together. And I'm having a hard time in my brain figuring out if that was on purpose to make fun of the idea of a Christmas newsletter being that serious. And if that's the case, then kudos because you did it. But if it's not the case, then the movie like is really bad. At the end of the day, the number of times I laughed in this movie, plus the shock of Alec DeSantis, Lillian Douce-Richey, and Angela Kinsey, those things I think win the day for me. And so right now, it's in my top 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. No.
Like the movie.
Didn't. Here's the thing is, and this is great.
Nice, dude.
You know, yesterday, go ahead.
It's really good. Keep
We
going.
don't have anywhere to be.
I don't want this to end.
It's all good.
Go right here.
God.
I think
That
we
is-
gotta
that
bleep,
is
like blur that or something.
R-rated.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
exhausted.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
we'll be
tough.
right back here
Yeah.
on Deck the Helmet.
So first of all, did not take that back. Second of all,
Okay.
Yep, reverse.
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 Yep,
Go to that one.
yep.
Blur that
Oh
out.
my God, no. Nobody needs to see that. First of all,
Earn your paycheck
didn't
today,
like
Brad.
it. Second of all, Christmas with the Sings, the first movie I did like yesterday.
Oh, we didn't
We didn't
warranted
talk about
no
it.
song, and I want to be very clear. This movie is like,
Out of
like,
respect, we didn't.
no, absolutely. Please hear me for what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. I don't think it's been a great crop of movies so far this year.
great crop.
This movie, if you take it seriously, doesn't work. But if you accept that it is a movie making fun of itself, making fun of Christmas newsletters, and doing so,
It's the Scotty effect. When Scotty first watched
100%
Hall at the Holly, he was
yeah.
like, "This, what is
That's right.
happening?"
Yes.
And then he understood, and he went back and,
And
he
so,
watched it. He was like, "It's really
like,
funny."
I just don't know how much credit to give them. And
All of
Brian
it.
gave them all the credit.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is if you tell me this movie is a satire about Christmas newsletters and it's made for $100,000, then all of a sudden, like, the degree of difficulty is through the roof and I'm raving about this movie. But like the first 10 minutes of this movie were like a movie we watched that Roku channel picks up.
I don't know. They had a pretty banger movie last year. Series. So.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but the movies that they pick up are Christmas in Carolina. That's what I'm talking about.
Again, you're acting like we
course.
didn't
Yeah,
feature
yeah,
that.
yeah,
shrug
yeah,
off a little bit.
I'm not, guys. I know people in the comments are like, I did not like that. Your brain is not correct. I did not like this movie. All of the complaints that you would make about this movie, I think, are all adequate complaints to make about the movie. What I'm saying is, Christmas movies for Hallmark are a dime a dozen. This movie doesn't try to do those things.
Yeah.
It definitely tries to do something different. Now, whether that worked for you or not, a different story. But it is a shoddily made movie that, if it is pure satire, works a lot better than I think it really should. I don't know where this is going to end up. Right now, I think I have it fifth. I'm a mess, and I drafted this movie. It would be really easy for me to overrate this movie, put it up really high to help myself win the draft, and I'm just not doing that. But I watched it with Brian. I can't lie. I laughed half dozen times. There are half dozen times this movie that I did laugh out loud. Yeah. So I don't really know what to do with that information. There you go.
It's time for all the feels. We're talking about what in this movie gave us feels. Brian.
Yeah, I have to believe this is intentional. There were so many little things that were written in and this seemed to be planned out that made, to me, it felt really authentic.
But every time you think that, there's these like long, like he's overwrought about writer's block or about her like wanting to be like, them making the movie a message movie about how she wanted to portray her family better than they were, like that's a real movie. That's like a thing that they try to do in these movies normally. And I think that was my issue is tonally I would have rather just jumped all in on the crazy. And they don't completely leave that.
Well, you're still heavy-handed with the emotional injection there.
Yeah, for sure.
The funniest scene of the year so far was when the grandmother walked in with the cinnamon buns on fire. I laughed so hard.
It's Stephen Tobolowsky shoveling a full crawler in his mouth. Yeah,
it was so neat. Like I felt so good after that laugh. Like I just needed that laugh, and that was so perfect. My favorite moment of the season.
It's
this
really
year.
funny. If you hated this movie and you didn't find that funny,
the fact that the way that she doesn't even. It doesn't even phase
no,
her.
it's like that's how they're
she
served.
Puts them down. Let's just blow that out.
They're
and
served
here you
on
go.
fire.
Perfect. It was so great, and I laughed so hard, and so thank you.
The dad calling burning before the alarm goes off.
Yes,
he's like burning, and then the alarm goes off. All of it, like all of it was exactly what it should be.
And making up the words to Jingle Bell, like it was just little things, just really funny, really funny.
My mom, growing up, would write a newsletter every year, and it was a thing that every year she would write it. And me and my brothers would read it, and we would laugh and be like, "Mom, you're ridiculous." Yeah. And then one year she stopped writing the newsletter.
Oh no!
And she's still with us.
But
rest in peace.
Her newsletter hasn't stopped.
Yeah, that's right. She's still. And we realized, oh man, we really missed the newsletter, Mom. And so there is something in this movie about the craziness of newsletters and how you do write them, and everyone's kind of BSing it a little bit, trying to make it's like social media where you try to put your best foot forward and make it, but to the families that they're written about, once it's like, the son that like was left, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and he comes back and he's like, I kind of missed it. There's something about it that really rang true to me, and it worked. Dano?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, the more that they stuck with the absurdity of the newsletter, the better this movie was to me. So when they Sue's character is probably my feels, because this woman, they don't pull their punch. They don't make her look mean and then actually be nice. She's mean to the core. Like she is a mean human being.
Bad apple.
She's a villain to the core. And it's all about a newsletter competition that is unofficial.
Yeah.
And she is playing it so straight and so like this is serious. Those are the moments that work the most for me, is Sue believing that the most important thing is that her newsletter is better. Her husband secretly writes it. She wants to be on a wall of fame. The stakes couldn't be lower. I feel like Hallmark movies really are like hesitant to have a real villain, and this has a real villain in it, and that does help it a good deal.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll get to the wait, what, and the what the Hallmark here on Deck the Hallmark.
Villain edition.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about the Christmas newsletter time with the Confessions of a Christmas Letter.
That's right.
Let's get to the Wait What's, where we talk about what in this movie made us go, wait what, and I'll start with you, I guess.
Brian.
Oh, man. Thought it would be me.
I was hanging in the balance. I thought I was going to
Who
go first
knew?
for the first
I
time
know.
since 2018.
Not today, Dan.
You remember when we used to just do it randomly?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, those are the days.
And you and we had two Dans
You know how
on
many
the
times
show.
my hot take and wait what's are taken? I'm just making crap up. I mean, I really deserve an award.
That's true.
Well, let me continue the tradition. Lily, at one point, I think when she gets in the car, she says, "I'm surprising my family. I'm 2 days late," and then she texts her mom, "I'm in the car. Or, I'm on my way."
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, ruin that surprise. I mean, this is just the got to be the wait what is him blindly traveling to Connecticut from Puerto Rico to stay with strangers.
This is when it has to be a screwball comedy.
Yeah,
because
you can't explain this away. Like
No.
it's just not in his nature, I don't think, to do something like that. So the fact that he would just blindly go and stay with these people, like at least have him try to stay in a hotel, and then it gets worked out where it's easier for him to stay with them. Like maybe they plan to, and just for time you couldn't.
I
But
did love. I should have put it in my feels. The grandfather and the uncle. One of them says misery, and the other one's like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "The movie Misery. That's where it takes place." I thought that was really, really funny.
Oh, okay.
I laughed then too. Sorry, go ahead.
okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
So you do have your own.
I'm trying here. You know, trying to bring something to the show.
Oh, and this one. I'm really confused by this. When they discover the shed.
Get off the shed.
Get off the shed. Juan says, meet me. He says, we meet tomorrow at midnight to set out all the things. Does that mean like that night? Like that was such a confusing line. Like when you say let's meet tomorrow at midnight,
that is tomorrow.
Which midnight are we talking?
Usually you would say tonight at midnight, which is actually tomorrow at midnight.
Exactly. So does he?
Yeah, you don't say tomorrow at midnight.
No, just say
everyone's
like
confused.
At midnight.
Yeah,
but
tonight at midnight.
So also could have been like just a language thing, like just a weird like I don't know. But that's super confusing. People are showing up at different times, and that was it for me.
I mean, what do you do? What do you do with a movie like this, where everything can just be like, hey, it's silly, fun times. Obviously, she just has. Did she buy stock in those onesies? Like many onesies.
Where is she getting all these onesies?
A printer.
That's the big question.
Oh
where,
my god!
I think she's got a
wow,
onesie
how about
printer.
that? I would. Is she printing them herself
Maybe?
Maybe in the middle of the night she's up all night and she's just making onesies. I don't know
A lot of onesies.
where she's getting them, and nor do I really care because I loved it so much.
When the abuelo and Tio show up and they have onesies, that was when it hit.
It hit,
That was when it was like, oh, she's got.
We should have got onesies for this.
That's
one.
great.
And then I guess it's more of
yeah.
a what the Hallmark, so I'll save it. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, there's so many things that you either have to give for the movies, like craziness, or you have to be willing to say, no, this shouldn't have happened. But this guy does travel on a moment's notice to Connecticut, sight unseen, to do something that is crazy and stay in someone's house, and then tells Lillian Doucet-Richet's character to follow his lead, which is rational, not rash. And you can't do both of those. You cannot claim to be a rational human being after doing exactly what he did.
Yep.
That's crazy. There's a wreath making contest, and 6 people are trying to work on one wreath.
Oh boy.
No, that's my nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit the next few plays out. You put meat at the end of the buffet. Have you lost your mind? The plates are down here. All the sides, the meat is down there. Are you asking for World War III? Like, you're going to get all your sides. There's not going to be any room.
Yeah.
This is a mess.
That's the point.
This
That's
is a
that's what you
mess.
do. You put all the good stuff at the end.
No.
So people fill up their plates
Dude,
with the junk.
in all my years of covered dish at the church, potluck, Thanksgiving dinners where we go buffet style because there's 17 people in a 1,500 square foot house, I've never seen the meat not be first ever. And I couldn't get over it.
They call it a meet and greet.
I see what you did there.
Now you're talking. That's why they call it a movie.
I'm totally fine with somebody going, oh, you write poetry, let me hear one. It is weird for you then to stand up, clear your throat so the whole restaurant watches you, and then you give the poem as though you're on stage somewhere.
That was his moment.
That was his moment. Clearly, it was his moment. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
It's time for what the Hallmark story. Wonder what could have been. Maybe it was in clarity questions we still have. What are we still wondering about?
Yep.
Brian?
Well, obviously, I'm wondering how much he got paid for this. It's just a big one. But I think another big question is: Did Seti get fined for all of those lawn ornaments?
Yeah, so many lawn ornaments.
Yeah, I think it was against the rules.
Can I ask you this though? Because this was part of what the Hallmark is the setup of because when they walk out, it's the ornaments are on Sue's yard. Is my understanding. They took them to Sue's house.
Correct.
And
then people are touring them.
Yeah,
for some reason.
and so.
Put out the cones.
Unless Sue is like, I have a memory of all of the unless they admit to it, who's getting the fine? That was the whole prank. Was we put him on Sue's yard? What is she gonna do? She gonna fine herself? But also the overall setup of this neighborhood was very confusing. Like I never got a good idea of how the house is. They made it seem like it was a cul-de-sac, but it wasn't a cul-de-sac. I was confused by the layout of the street for sure. Dano?
Mine is really about the Wall of Fame and the letters. Maybe I missed it because it feels like you're just thrown right into this movie. He reads the letter. The guy, Brian, reads the letter and then puts it in a submissions box.
Yeah.
And then who selects which one goes?
The other postal workers.
Can more than one go in the Wall of Fame, or can only one?
No, only one.
Yeah, they pick one.
And it's been Sue the last 18 years, and he's related to Sue.
Does she get anything?
I think
or it's just by vote. All the postal workers that aren't from the post office, because they can't say that.
No,
they all are voting on which letter.
So
is the most impressive.
Yeah. So you want to know what my take on this neighborhood was? Is that it's one of those neighborhoods that has everything you need in the neighborhood, and I think it's a post office that's only for
Holly, but it said Holly Hills, so it's in the city, not the neighborhood.
I understood Holly Hill was the name of the
Holly Hills is the name of the neighborhood.
So it's like that neighborhood they were trying to get up and running off Verde,
Yes,
and they were trying to have everything there.
The fact that Holly Hills is a neighborhood would make this movie make more sense.
I'm pretty sure it was.
That's
how I took it.
I love it.
That's how I took it.
I'll take it.
Anyway,
he takes it.
We did, everybody. Congratulations to us, and the good news is we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Until then, maybe we're the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.